An action-packed day one at the Cheltenham Festival, and we're straight back into it with the Turners, the first race of day two. A big English hope in the form of No Drama this end. Paul Nicholls has compared this horse to the brilliant Denman, but for me, the Irish form is that little bit ahead for the novice hurdlers at least. And the one I quite like is King Rasco Grey for Team Willie Mullins. Travel like the winner at the Dublin Racing Festival over 2 mile. I think he probably just got tapped for toe a little bit that day, and I could see him going very, very close here. Just another one to flag as well on the Willie Mullins front, Sober. He's a big talking horse in that yard. We've seen plenty of each way money, so it'd be no surprise if he was to run well. But for me, it's King Rasco Grey. The Brown Advisory over 3 miles. Normally you need a battle-hardened horse for this race, and there's plenty of them in here, but there's a couple of unexposed types as well. Romeo Coolio, very much unexposed over 3 miles, as he steps up, having won the Irish Arkle over 2 miles last time out. Wendigo flies the flag for the UK. Cade Doughty downed the wonderful Final Demand at the Dublin Racing Festival. That's put a few question marks about Hat Horse, but the one for me, Western Fold for Gordon Elliott. I think this horse is going to run a cracking race, ticks plenty of the boxes you need for the Brown Advisory, and he's a pretty big price. The Bet MGM Cup, another really difficult puzzle to solve this race. Plenty of horses in here with good Cheltenham form as well. Ballyadam always puts his best foot forward at Prestbury Park. So does Put Your Hands Together, who won the Fred Winter last year. But the one for me is a horse that disappointed on the Cotswolds in 2025, and that is Kopek de Me. He was the gamble of the festival last year. It all went wrong. He nearly got his head in front down at Aintree, and then he had a very brief foray over fences before Christmas. We haven't seen him since, and I think that could be with an eye to today, and I think he'll go very, very close in a competitive race. A race that traditionally goes to Gordon Elliott, the cross-country chase, and he's got some big chances in the race this year as well, headed by Favori de Champs, who was really, really impressive over course and distance when we last saw him. But for me, I think it's going to go to a Gavin Cromwell horse. He won the race last year with Stumptown, who went on to win the Velka Pardubice, but for me, it was the one that finished third in this race last year, Vanillier, who could be the one. Sean Flanagan got a bit confused with his directions in 2025, but I'm hoping he studied the map this time around, and I think the horse can go very close. The champion chase and the banker of the week for plenty of punters in Mageborough were the cheek pieces for the first time at the Dublin Racing Festival, and he was brilliant, wasn't he? They're back on again today, and it is pretty difficult to look past them, to be fair. Lotus Sud is going to have his chance, and it's interesting the Harshies have run Irish Panther in this race over the Arkle on Tuesday, but one that I think might run into second place is Quilixios, who was booked for second in 2025 when coming down at the last, but it's hard to look past Mageborough. Another cavalry charge over 2 miles. This time it's over fences for the Grand Annual. Be Aware heads the betting for Dan Skelton. To me, looks like a horse who probably wants 2.5 over 2, so I'm willing to take that one on. You'd love to see Jazzy Matty go in again. He was a real emotional winner in 2025. But the one that's sticking out is In the Pocket for Henry de Bromhead. Once again in the JP McManus colours. He looks like he's been primed for this day. And another one to watch out for, Release the Beast for Paul Nolan. Where's the Silks of Mrs. Milner, who was a Pertemps winner a couple of years ago, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind being back in the winner's enclosure again. The champion bumper, it normally pays to stick with a certain Mr. Willie Mullins in this race. He's got the favourite once again in Love Sign Danu. Very impressive on bumper debut, but there's a whole host of horses bringing winning form into this race. Quirin is one of them. He looks a little bit special, although he'd have to be to buck that trend. A 4-year-old hasn't won the race since 2010, and that was Q-Card, and he wasn't bad. A couple of others worth mentioning. The Mourne Rambler won the Stephen Say bumper at Leopardstown impressively. It'd be great to see Noel Meade back in the winner's enclosure at Cheltenham, but the one for me goes for Gordon Elliott, and that is Keep Him Company. Plenty of word about this horse. You have to respect it for that yard, and I think he could go close.